I think that it is special and it brings a lot of value because it really tries to bring together the different players within the construction sector. I think that this mix brings new value and it can create some other things that we can't do as individual players. I think that one of the key challenges is to make all the different components work together. It's key that the buildings actually are attractive for the users, and therefore I really believe that the parameters like indoor climate and looking at environment in a broader perspective are really essential things, and also to have this focus on the users of the buildings in order for us to make successful low energy buildings.
I think it's a very big initiative. It's a solution. It's bringing a solution for everyone. It's certainly one of the ways of bringing a solution to what we need to get to. And I think Active House is challenging. It's very interesting. So it's certainly the network for me today that will lead us the right way.
With this joint effort in the Active House Alliance, where we have the entire supply chain together, we have the architects, we have the consultants, the designers, we also have the different suppliers. With this joint effort, I think that we can have an even bigger impact on standards and also on legislation. I think that in the long run, if we should base our consumption on renewables, then I think we'll see the development of these smart cities and smart grids, where everybody can buy renewable energy and also deliver and get paid for the renewable energy that they produce at home.
You need, as a contractor, input from a lot of different sources, and our goal of joining this organization and what we have learned so far is that we can get a lot of information and a lot of knowledge from different parties. So being in this organization keeps us on top of knowledge and provides us with an environment in which new knowledge can be created. And the knowledge we sell is embedded in these buildings and houses. So we come here, we get the knowledge from the partners, we develop knowledge with the partners, and we go and use it tomorrow.
Putting all these technologies together and actually doing that in a clever way so that we have a proper balance of what each of these technology brings. I think that's a real challenge, and the real challenge is if you were to build such a home, finding experts that could actually do that. In theory, we have a lot of technologies that would work and would actually do the job. But the whole problem is in integrating these technologies and doing that in the clever way, so that you have, in the end, a well-balanced solution. And finding people that can do that, that is, I think, one of the biggest hurdles that we have to take. Helping designers with examples, with patterns that they could employ in actually constructing these active houses, I think that is one of the other big challenges that we have to face.
From 2021, we will have a requirement that all new buildings will have to be nearly zero energy buildings. And it is extremely important that all the actors in the building sector start to preparing for this now. I think that the most important is that we ensure that we have the right priority in making the design, that we start first to focus on how to reduce the energy need as much as possible, because it's very, very difficult and very expensive to change at a later stage, so it needs to be right. I don't think that we should focus more on the new buildings. I think we need to focus much more on how can we transform this knowledge which have been gained on the new buildings into the existing building stocks, and to use the new component developed in solutions for the existing buildings, because that's where the big need is.
We want to focus on what can we do today and what is needed for the further development. So the industry shows what can we do by the demonstration projects that they participate in. The research institutes evaluate the things and bring proposals to where and what to do in the future. The biggest challenge for new buildings is to prove how are we carbon neutral. and it is bringing the energy efficiency down and integrate renewable energy. One of the things that Active House is focusing on is not only energy, it's also the indoor climate. So we will meet the 2020 target or channel, the 2020 channel, by developing houses which have a good focus on indoor climate, have good daylight conditions and so on in buildings. That is one of the challenges. If we're just focusing on one of those things, we could make wrong decisions in buildings. Hopefully we will see a development where we will have stricter and stricter requirement to the indoor comfort in buildings.
If we construct intelligent houses and if we retrofit the houses that were the buildings we already have, that will create jobs that cannot be outsourced. And for a European construction sector, that of course is extremely interesting. As you will know, 40% of the energy that we consume in Europe is being spent on buildings. And emissions from households are still increasing as we are using more and more energy. We can cut the emissions from buildings by 90%. That is our assessment in the roadmap, and we can do this in a cost-efficient way. We already have the building requirements so that it will be the norm 10 years from now, but also how to retrofit buildings in a much more energy efficient way. That is also a key challenge. The clue is improving energy efficiency by insulating walls and roofs of our buildings, by using energy efficient windows, by installing efficient boilers, or by replacing fossil fuels with renewable energy sources, such as solar panels or biomass or energy captured by heat pumps, so that companies and households can generate their own renewable energy. Recently, the Commission suggested that the member states each year should retrofit 3% of all public buildings. That is a doubling of the effort. How to re-educate people working in this sector so that they will actually know of the new solutions, that is also key. If you have a water leak in your house, you will set everything else aside until you have managed to stop the leak. When it comes to energy, it is time to start thinking more like that. Europe's buildings are leaking big time. Money, energy, and emissions are literally flowing out of the windows and cracks as we speak. So it's time to fix it. It's time to call the energy plumber so that your slogan, buildings that give more than they take, will not be the exception. That should very well, very soon become the rule.